the first time this millennium that a Sun Devil put up 20 points and 20 rebounds. It was Kimani Lawrence with 21 and 20. I'm Zach Keenan. He's publisher Hode Rubino on court at Desert Financial Arena for Devil's Digest following Arizona State's 8-point win over the Washington Huskies. And is there much to talk about other than Kimani Lawrence tonight?
Yeah, 80-72. The Sun Devils come out victorious. Kimani Lawrence, 21 points, 20 rebounds. This is the first 2020 game since Mike Batiste in 1997. I wasn't in school anymore, but I definitely remember one of the better players in Sun Devil basketball history. But Kimani Lawrence, I mean, it almost seems boring, Zach, to talk about another big performance by him. And I think you and I talked about it. The absence of Marcus Bagley over the last few games, I think, obviously has given Kimani a bigger stage, maybe more of a sense of urgency because the roster is depleted, it seems like, each and every game for the Sun Devils. Today, not only missing Marcus Bagley and Josh Christopher, also missing Jalen House. That really affected them on defense, and we'll talk about that a little later. But Kimani Lawrence, it's not only just the overall performance, but take a look at the box score when you have a chance at the last minute of the game. 3 rebounds, 1 steal. I mean that is those are numbers that NBA players would love to have themselves, let alone college ones. But it's not only Kimani Lawrence. Remy Martin, who really started out on a tear, scored 31 points. I think scored the first 11 points for Arizona State in the first half, 4 and 10 for 3-point range. And I know maybe like the lost person in this mix, but although you and I talk about him, is Alonzo Verge. Back-to-back 7-assist game. Had 5 rebounds, 16 points. So just like Tuesday, it was kind of a deja vu. Zach, 3 players that needed to lead Arizona State with all those all these personnel absences did so again. So when Martin, Verge, and Lawrence are playing at the level they have tonight, they have 2 nights ago, ASU can come out victorious more often than not. I think bench play maybe compared to the last few games really hasn't been that great. But I should mention that Jalen Graham, who was back in the lineup tonight, did have a pretty quiet first half, but second half did score 6 points to start out the second half. Did somewhat okay, I would say, with rebounding and whatnot. But just like we talked on Tuesday, Zach, this wasn't really an imposing, lengthy Washington team, although they did score a lot of points in the paint. And I thought for long stretches in the second half, their inside-outside game was pretty well. They did have 11 three-pointers for the entire game, but only 4 in the second half. And they started out the second half really on fire beyond the arc behind us over here. But ASU, I thought, was able to match them in the three-point shooting. Eventually, wasn't really a great three-point shooting night for ASU. I think they only had 4 made threes on the night, but overall, I think their defense definitely played a lot of dividends. I think the absence of Jalen House really did hurt him, especially on the perimeter defense, trying to stop the penetration and the three-point shooting. But ASU ends the game on an 8-0 run. The largest lead was the final score, 80-72. Ironically, Washington finishes the game with a 2 minutes scoring drought, and I think they made something like 2 out of the last 10 field goal attempts. So ASU did not play a great defense, especially for large stretches of the second half, but when it mattered most in clutch time, they did come up big on both ends of the court. So this was a hard-fought win for ASU, and I think you and I agreed that we're not going to see the same Washington team that we saw here 2 nights ago, where ASU was leading by 20 at halftime. The game was just really never in doubt for such long stretches. Tonight was a very different story. The game was tied at halftime. Again, ASU, I thought, at long stretches did have an issue stopping the three-point shooting by the Huskies, but again, I think for the last, I would say, 5 or so minutes, it really came up big on both ends of the court, but especially on defense. I mean, for some reason, tonight was really a struggle. I think you have to credit the Washington coaching staff for really making a lot of effective adjustments, but ASU, in terms of in-game adjustments, really hit their stride in the last 5 or so minutes. And again, Kimani Lawrence, 2020 game. You like to think that ASU would come out victorious if any player on their roster puts up those numbers.
Great numbers for Kamani Lawrence. Remy Martin played well. Alonzo Verge Jr. played well. An all-around team performance for the Sun Devils, but at the same time, are there some things here that may not fly against Washington State? ASU only has less than 48 hours to recover before tipping off against the Cougars on Saturday night. What kind of things aren't going to fly against them?
Yeah, I think definitely three-point defense. I mean, not to harp on this, but when I talked 2 nights ago about Washington coming in into this two-game series with Arizona State as one of the better three-point shooting teams in the Pac-12. We did not see it at all on Tuesday. We saw it quite a bit tonight on Thursday. So I think that is one area that definitely needs to be shored up. If Jalen House does come back to the lineup on Saturday, I think that can help a great deal. Maybe Marcus Bagley comes back to the lineup. He does go through shoot-arounds, does go through early warm-ups, but the ankle is still bothering him. But in terms of just length, especially on the perimeter defense, he can be a great help against Washington State, who I think is a better team than Washington. It's definitely going to be a better challenge. I don't expect ASU to have the cakewalk they had on Tuesday against Washington State, and if they are in a dogfight like they are tonight, playing a better team in the Cougars, may be a different outcome. So I think just three-point defense is definitely something ASU is going to shore up. And on offense, it really was a hit and miss. I mean, I thought the offense at times just really was pretty stagnant, not really flowing. I think they almost had the same number of assists than they had on Tuesday, 19. But there were just some stretches where we did see that one-on-one hero ball. I know it drives the fans crazy to see that. It drives the coaching staff crazy too. And even a guy like Alonzo Verge, I mean, had 7 assists. Did a great job. But we did see just a little too much isolation on offense. I think that maybe you get away with it against a team like Washington. Against a team like Washington State, like I said, Zach, might be a total different story. So I like to see this offense flowing more. It's great that Remy Martin had the game that he had, but you'd like to see a much more balanced and even out of offense, which we did see more in the second half, thanks to the games that Kamani Lawrence and Alonzo Verge put up. But you mentioned bench play. I think also that's going to have to be a much bigger factor against a team like Washington State. But again, with depleted personnel, really can't talk much about players that are proven players coming off the bench for Arizona State. So that can be an issue.
A back-and-forth game the whole time, but Arizona State takes the cake, 80-72, the final score. We'll be right back here within about 48 hours. Sun Devils have just that much time to recover before they take on the Washington State Cougars Saturday night, 7 p.m. here at Desert Financial. In the meantime, make sure you keep it locked in to DevilsDigest.com. Give us a follow on Twitter at DevilsDigest.